Mary Orvis Marbury says that the Gilt Coachman was a result of a request from some Colorado fishermen who had fished the Coachman but wrote to the Orvis Company suggesting that they needed to add some gold to it. I'm tying this fly from the illustration in Mary Orvis Marbury's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories. I'm putting it on a number 8 hook. I'm using claret thread, mostly because of the head color. I am tying in a folded strand of gold oval tinsel for the tail. In order to separate the tail, I'm going to take another piece of tinsel, take it around the hook, and pull it up between the two pieces of the two tail fibers. Lay that on the shank of the hook and tie that in. That'll separate those two tail fibers. I wasn't really sure what to use for the tail fibers on this particular fly because they do appear to be very stiff and gold. So I think this works. The oval tinsel is stiff enough so that it will work as the tail. And then I am wrapping it up over the shank. I want to build a little bit of bulk, if I can, on the shank. I'm going to use 2 Peacock herl for just the butt, I guess we're going to call it. So trim off the butt ends and tie it in by the butt end, again to build some bulk for the body. So tie that, wrap it in on the top of the shank all the way back to where I have those tail fibers, and those will splay out properly once I get everything tied in. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of super glue right there on that spot. I don't want to put a rope on this herl because I want it to stay full, and I find that a rope tends to kind of crush the herl, but I just want a nice full butt, herl butt right there. That's about all I need. And then I'll wrap that in. And again, I'm going to wrap all the way to the front. Keep those on top of the shank to build some bulk on the shank. I don't want the body to be real skinny. For the body, I am using tinsel. I suppose the tinsel that Mary would have used would have been actual metal, but I'm using some gold, silver mylar, and again I'm going to tie it in up at the front to create some bulk on the fly. And this is a wide tinsel, so it takes less wraps. I'm not going around a bend or anything. I find that the wide tinsel is harder to go around a bend and keep flat, but since it's all on the straight part of the shank and even, so take that back to that butt, and then when I flip the tinsel, the gold will show, and I'll get a gilt Coachman. Overlapping wraps to bring that tinsel up to the front of the hook, about an eye length behind the eye, where I can catch it off. Just have to make sure that I'm keeping a clean eye for the front hackle and for the wing. Trim off my excess. For the hackle, I am using a rooster. I think this is a rooster neck. A little bit longer fibers, but I want the rooster because I want a stiffer hackle than a hen would give. Again, trying to match the illustration in Mary's book. So I'm going to wrap that, and then I'll pull those fibers back when I wrap up over the stem. Or actually wrap up over the tip. Tie it in by the stem, cut some fibers at the stem or butt end so that I create those little tiny barbs. It helps to tie it in, and then wrap up over it's pretty much the middle of this hackle feather. But I want to come back. That'll help kind of push those back as well as create some space to tie in the wing. And snap out that tip. I do have one errant fiber out here, barb, call it. And I'm going to try to lay that down a little bit if I can. I'll split it a little bit here in the top to tie in my wing. For the wing, I am using turkey shoulder, and this looks like a pretty symmetrical feather, so I've cut a piece from both sides. Haven't done that always. So I have that wing feather then, and I'm going to just measure my length. It is a little bit wider than the gape, but that's because I feel that this tends to squish and make that wing a little bit smaller, narrower than I want. So pinch wrap that, and then cinch it in. Try not to catch too much of that hackle. I already have. And wrap underneath. Go ahead and cut out the excess. It's going to take a little bit of the hackle with it. That's fine. Clean it up. I think I'll be okay here. Yeah. Wrap the head, and then I will put a whip finish on that. Just put my scissors against the thread and push to clip it out. I do use a diluted goop for head cement. Most of the time, not all the time, just put a needle in my jar, grab a drop, stick that on the head, and that'll soak in. And I'm going to run the end of that hackle feather that I cut off there through the eye of the hook to clean it out. And I can pull up on these tail, get them straight, and I think I want them a little bit shorter than that, so I can just go ahead and clip those off. And we have the Gilt Coachman from Mary Orvis Marbury's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories.